Thanks for coming back and entrusting me to recap Secret Invasion for you, or at least recap it from my perspective. I'm John Starr from MacMovieGuy.com. I'm a blind film critic, which means I watch this with audio description on Disney Plus, and this is episode 3. And there will be spoilers, by the way, because it's a recap. So, yeah, that's what recaps do. We talk about spoilers, so don't be, when I say some things in this review that happen, do not be upset. You have your chance. You've been warned. So there was a lot of talk last week about Nick Fury's wife. I mean, he does put on a wedding ring, and whether or not he knew she was a Skrull. I was just more concerned. I was like, I didn't even know Nick Fury had a wife. I just wanted to start. Can we start at Plan A? Because even if he didn't know, and even if that was a Skrull that had taken over his wife, I know he had a wife. I was like, what? When did he get a wife? So, I was more interested in that backstory than anything else. I wanted to know. I was like, who? When did he find time? Nick Fury just doesn't feel like that guy. He doesn't feel like a guy who would be able to commit to a relationship long enough to be able to have a wife. He just feels like he's constantly in motion. But he did find somebody, and he does know she's a Skrull. And it's not weird. I mean, I have every inkling. I mean, she doesn't present in Skrull form, but there's every suggestion in the conversations that they're having that he knows that she's a Skrull. So, it just goes to show that he is very friendly to the Skrulls and their cause. So I think that answers the question. Of course, the third episode leaves it ambiguous as to whether or not she's good or bad. At the end, she has to go talk to somebody. Oh no, who does she have to talk to? Mr. Grumpy Face. I really wish Kingsley Ben-Adir was having more fun with this role. But I don't know, they're trying to take this more seriously, and I guess I just like my villains showboating a little bit more. And this dude just feels like he's in a different movie or a TV show. Man, that Gaia execution sequence, she's like mid-sentence and he's just like dead. You're dead now. I killed you. It doesn't matter. You don't want to turn away. I don't care. Fuck you. It's just like, whatever. Dead. And I didn't know the guy was gonna die. I was not a place where I was at where I was like, like she's a 3-episode character. Well then, this should make it interesting for Talos. So, of course, the whole thing was about stopping this one attack, and we did get a little bit more of Olivia Colman's character, who is interesting and intriguing and fun. We did not get more Rhodey, but we did get more Nick Fury and Talos action, and they managed to stop a sub from firing on a United Nations plane. Sort of an interesting proposition, but it's weird to think that those are the things that are happening. And yeah, so that was kind of Secret Invasion. I didn't necessarily think we rewrote the wheel here. I think we're kind of waiting to continue to see what the grand plan is. I still feel like, we're building to something bigger than this. There's a lot of talk about the extinction of the human race, and obviously I don't think they're going to achieve that within the Disney Plus limited series. So obviously that's going to be saved for a later film. It'd be weird if it did, and then suddenly people who don't watch the Disney Plus series, suddenly they're affected in the film universe, and they're like, wait a minute, why don't humans exist anymore? Well, you should have watched Secret Invasion. That's your fault. we wiped out humans in Secret Invasion. That is your fault. They're on a, it's just like with Loki now. Now the few remaining ones are floating out there on a spaceship. Just no. Yeah, I still feel like Nick Fury can't handle this by himself, and he gets pissed off whenever somebody's like, suggests that that's the thing. Like there's a scene between Nick and Talos, and Talos is like, I haven't heard you say, Talos, I need you. I can't do this by myself. And Nick starts to leave because he's not going to grovel. And then he comes back and he goes, Talos, I need you. I suck. I can't do this by myself. And Talos is like, all right, well, let's go. But also, Talos doesn't really have any particular skill set of powers that would lead me to believe that he's the best person for this job either. I mean, they explain kind of why they haven't called the Avengers, because they don't want the Skrulls to start cloning Avengers and start ransacking America looking like the Hulk. But at the same time, does Nick Fury really think... that's a god complex. Does he really think that he's got this all on his own, considering he has no abilities himself? And Talos' ability is shapeshifting? This is a weird combination. So either Rhodey has to kick in and do some stuff. Somebody's going to be popping up. I know there were some people that were originally rumored to be popping up in this. I haven't seen them yet. So maybe some people will pop up. Maybe some people will not. I don't know. Anyway, again, this is kind of like living in that Falcon and the Winter Soldier world for me. It's not my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe show, but it's also not my worst. I feel like it's advancing plot. It's setting up stuff. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a great existing thing because it just existed so that we could have a Captain America 4 without explaining why Falcon is now Captain America. How did we get to this point? Well, we did a little brief limited series. Why don't you go watch that and then you can see, So I feel like that's what's happening here with Secret Invasion, is that it's setting something up. It's connecting dots for us. It's introducing the Skrulls more on a wide base. I don't know how much we're going to be seeing of Kingsley Ben-Adir in the film franchise, or whether or not he's kind of just exclusive to this series. He does feel more interesting than the villain from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but still, for me, he's part of this new wave of Jonathan Majors type villain that just came from the Royal Shakespeare Academy. It's not a bad thing. I'm saying he's a great actor. It's just some films you just don't go into, and if there's a reason why people are talking about Jason Momoa's performance in Fast X for being over the top and cartoonish. That's what that is. That's what that franchise needed. If somebody else had gone in there like Kingsley Ben-Adir and tried to be really serious about it and taken it like he might get an Oscar nomination or something, then I don't know that it would work. So you have to kind of feel the vibe. There's a very different performance that Olivia Colman is giving than Kingsley. They're in two completely different shows. Olivia's having fun. I don't know that Kingsley is. So I'm still waiting to see something out of his character. I don't even know if he's that scary to me. He doesn't even feel like the big bad. He feels like there could be somebody, in a couple episodes, that just comes out of nowhere and is like, I'm actually the supervillain here. And I'd buy it. I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know who you are, but you seem more interesting. So, cool. Sort of like how Kingpin came out of nowhere in Hawkeye. We're like, oh, shit, Kingpin's back. So that's Secret Invasion, episode 3. I did bump up episode 2 because I thought there was more emotional weight in it and some really good conversations, but I'm going to drop this back. I'm giving Secret Invasion season 1, episode 3 a B+. It's the same grade I gave the pilot. So we went up for episode 2. We're back down for episode 3. I know there's an emotional weight of Gaia being shot, which is shocking. It's sort of like Maria Hill was shocking, but I still gave the first episode a B+. Just because you end with a shocking death, it's the aftermath. It's how Talos's reaction. These are catalysts, but we have to see where the fire starts. It's like you start the flame, but it's the fire that's interesting, and the fire comes in Talos's performance, possibly in the next episode. So episode 4 could be really good when Talos actually finds out that Gaia is no more. So I have hopes for the next episode. I have seen some rumors online about Echo and how terrible Echo supposedly is, and that Disney Plus was thinking about scrapping it and pulling a Batgirl with it and making it so that nobody could ever see Echo. I hope that's not true. Have faith in these franchises, please. And I don't know where fans are at right now. Fans are in a weird place with with all of their projects. They don't like the new stuff, and then they go back and they say they like the old stuff, but they didn't like the old stuff when it came out. Now they're hailing it as being, amazing. There was a lot of stuff that came out in the first part of Marvel that people were like, about. And now they're acting, it's like, oh, this is underrated gems. We didn't know back then. We didn't know how bad it could get, but these are great films. And they're doing it with DC, too. They're acting like these films they're not wildly different. These TV shows are not wildly different than anything else. They're still progressing a story. That's what you get when you invest in these comic book franchises that spawn across, all these different characters and into different projects. My only problem is that once we're here and we've created the cinematic universe, I hate when we have these sort of like the world might end plots and it feels like it's not an all hands on deck effort or even like an attempt at a little conglomeration. There should always be like a little bit of a team up between like 2 or 3 people, so that way it's like, oh, we've come to help. Meanwhile, it's just Nick Fury. And it's the same thing that we had, we've had before in other films where, the world might end in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's, where is he who's helping him? That's a great question, since the one person he asked for help ended up becoming the villain. So, Spider-Man, the world might end. Who's going to help Spider-Man? I don't know. It's a great question. We got to stop having catastrophic world-ending events in our shows and having a whole bunch of heroes available in the roster from high tier to low tier, and they're not showing up. So, that's my thought. Anyway, thanks for watching and subscribing. And I will be back with another Secret Invasion next week. Until then, I'll see you guys on the other side.